All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. In this video here, I'm looking at the greatest scores since the merger. And a big reason why I always just go to the merger is because in the late 60s up to the merger, the ABA ran concurrently with the NBA. So a lot of what happened, during that time didn't have the best players under one roof. They were split apart. And I'm not going to say what they didn't count or anything like that. No, I'm not going to say that. But it just wasn't really the same thing. That's why I have the history of the NBA split into three eras. And the first era is the inception of the NBA up to the merger. So say 1976. So I think that covers like 26 seasons. Then I have 1977 until about 2013, 14, 15, somewhere around there. We'll just call it 2014. And the reason why is because that's when the offensive explosion happened. That's when a lot of the old school guard, were getting old, retiring, the Tim Duncans, the Kevin Garnetts, the Kobe Bryants, they're pretty much done at that point. And then, it's just been a completely different league the last at least 10 years, at least that, maybe 12, with the way that the offensive players allowed to get away with so much. There was no such thing as a step back shot. The offensive fouls that they never call, the traveling, the carrying, all these things that they're allowed to do now, and you weren't allowed to do before. You cannot compare these eras, not stat-wise. You can compare them for what a person did within their era versus what another person did within their era. That's fine. But if you're going to start talking about field goal percentages and points per game and how many triple doubles, and I hear people doing that stuff, Luka Doncic, he's the third greatest scorer of all time. It's like, yeah, in this era, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be tons of guys that got all these scoring accolades and whatnot. But anyway, so I looked at every score from 1977 we'll just say through 2010. We'll just leave it at that. And there was 31 players in, I guess that would be 34 seasons. 31 guys in 34 seasons that averaged 30 points per game, okay? Or more. Now, how many of those guys shot 50% while doing it? Not many. And I realized that a lot of the guys in the 2000s, they shot a lot of threes, and that's going to, of course, hurt their field goal percentages. Defense was a lot tighter then, and all that stuff. But I don't really go by that as much as I just go by simply they shot more threes. That's going to lower their field goal percentage, and I get that. I totally get that. But out of these, I think it was 13 instances from the merger through 2010. Actually, I think it ran through 2013, actually. But there was 13 players that averaged 30 or more points while shooting 50% or more. It only happened 13 times. And that was George Gervin in 1980, 33.1 on 52.8% shooting. He actually averaged 24.9 field goal attempts per game, which is a lot. And Gervin has two on this list, 1980 and 1982. As you can see, 33.1 and 32.3. Adrian Dantley is on this list three times, 81, 82, and 84. Now, again, I understand that these guys did not shoot a lot of three-pointers. And that, definitely affected the field goal percentage, no doubt about it. However, when these guys are shooting over 20 shots a game and you're still maintaining that kind of scoring level, like I said, it's only 13 players averaged 30 or more while shooting 50% or higher. And that goes from 1977 to 2013. We'll just cut it off right there. And that will cover 37 seasons. So that's about one every 3 years, you could say. Now, of those 13 players, how many had at least 20 field goal attempts per game? Well, you take out 1, 2, 3. So now you're down to only 10 players. That's it. 10 guys, 30 or more points, 50% or more field goal percentage with at least 20 field goal attempts. And those players were George Gervin in 1980, Adrian Dantley in 81, Gervin in 82, Moses Malone in 82, Adrian Dantley in 82, Adrian Dantley in 84, or no, I'm sorry, Dantley in 82 and 84, take that out, my bad. Bernard King in 85, Michael Jordan in 88, Michael Jordan in 89, Michael Jordan in 1990, Karl Malone in 1990, Michael Jordan in 91, and Michael Jordan in 92. So as you can see, Michael Jordan is on here 5 times. So he's got half of the times that a player shot 50% from the field or better, averaged 30 points or more, while shooting at least 20 field goal attempts per game. Michael Jordan has 5 of the 10 in the golden era, as I call it, from 1977 to 2013, period. That's crazy. Now, this is something that really stood out, and I did not realize, but there's only 3 players on this list who averaged 30 points a game, 50% or more field goal percentage, and they shot at least 100 three-point shots. George Gervin in 1980, Michael Jordan in 1990, and Michael Jordan in 1992. So again, Jordan has 2 of the 3 in that criteria. I mean, this stuff, it's just nuts. Now, Michael Jordan is the only NBA player from 1977 to 2013 who averaged 30 points per game, shooting 50% or more, that had at least 200 three-point shots or more. And as you can see, Michael Jordan, in 1988, the first time he did this, he was only 7 for 53 on three-pointers. So a lot of people say that was his weakness. I don't think that's true. What I think it was is Michael Jordan just didn't shoot a lot of them. Jordan got better the more he shot, and I can prove it. In the next year, in 89, he shoots 98 threes, which almost double the year before, and he made 27 of them. Now he's at 27.6, at least somewhat respectable. The next year, in 1990, he goes 2.5 times that, and he goes 92 for 245 for 37.6%. That's really good. I mean, that's good. 37.6 is very good. It really is. Now you got to remember too, hand checking was around back then. In 1990, that's bad boy Pistons time, a very physical NBA. And Michael Jordan's over here shooting 37.6 from three-point land, 84.8 from the free throw line, and 52.6% from the field on 24 shot attempts per game, averaging 33.6 points per game. So Michael Jordan shooting the basketball, his best season has to be 1990, with all things considered. Now, in 1996, Michael Jordan averaged 30.4 points a game, but he shot 49.5% from the field. The three-point line was brought in. He shot 260 three-pointers, and he made 111, which goes to 42.7%. Now, I realized that it was brought in, I think, to 22 feet, but everybody was shooting from the same distance. Now, so like I said, there is 32 players that averaged 30 points or more from 1977 through 2013. 33 of them. Now, would you believe me if I told you that out of all 33 players from 1977 through 2013, all 33 of them, the players that averaged 30 or more points, that's what we're talking about, the lowest free throw percentage out of all 33 players, there was only 2 times that a player shot under 75%. Only twice. Would you believe me if it was LeBron James in 2006, who shot 73.8%, and the other one was in 2008 when LeBron James shot 71.2%. Out of all 33 players who averaged 30 points or more from 1977 through 2013, only LeBron James shot under 75%, and he did it twice. That is crazy. Now, I did go all the way to 2020, but then it just started getting out of hand. I mean, there was, there was guys like James Harden. He had 36 one year. Shooting 1,028 3-pointers. That's what I said. It's just nuts, ridiculous. And James Harden had a 34.3 points per game one year. He shot 843 threes. Steph Curry in 2016, he actually had a 30-point per game, 50% from the field, and 90% free throw. He shot 886 3-pointers. But again, you're allowed to do so much now to create space. It's hardly the same thing as players back in the 80s and 90s and even late 70s. It's just not even close to the same thing. The kind of defense they had to deal with while following the rules. It's completely different now. The moving screens, the carrying, the traveling, the offensive fouls, the step back shot, which is just insane. It gives the craziest advantage to the offensive player. So basically, you can have the ball in midair as you're coming down with your dribble, and you could fake in either direction you want, and the player can't really do much because you're allowed to palm the ball. So you could fake one way but yet go the other. It's like not even a crossover because the ball is in your hand. You're not dribbling between your legs or anything like that. No, you're carrying the ball essentially. Now, once you do that, once you you pick up your dribble, you then get the option of doing a hop, step back, whatever you want to call it. They call it a gather step, but the player already gave up his dribble. So whatever he does after that, it's illegal. Switching your pivot feet, all that stuff, it's all illegal. So that's why I said you cannot compare stats after 2013. We'll just say 2014 at all. That's what Uncut Hoops says. So we're just going to call it right now. 2014 to the present, that's the new era. So that would cover the last 12 seasons. Okay, fair enough. What you're allowed to do, and these guys with these 70-point games and 65-point games, I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, are you kidding me? All the triple doubles and all that, and I've done videos on this before. But these guys are allowed to get away with so much, you just can't compare them. You just can't compare this era to other eras, not with stats. Now, you want to compare with like championships or, who won with home court advantage, winning and how you did within your own era versus how another player did within their era. That's all fine and good. But if you start trying to compare stats from this era, I mean, they got such a huge advantage. Of course, you know what I mean? This era, of course, is going to look better as a whole. It's just crazy. Now, like I said, out of all 33 players who averaged 30 points or more from 1977 through 2013, and that covers 37 seasons, so just about one a year, there was only 13 of the 33 averaged 30 points and 50% or more. Now, a lot of those guys, like after Jordan's 92, Jordan in 93 and 96 averaged 49.5%. But then when you get into Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Kobe, LeBron, like Kobe had 3 of 30 or more. Yeah, he had 3. LeBron had 2. Allen Iverson had 4. McGrady had 1. But all these guys, Dwayne Wade had 1 too. All these guys shot hundreds of 3-pointers. So I know it was after, I think 2006 is when they outlawed they took hand checking away. But before that, so we'll just focus on kind of like the 2000s. We'll just say 2000 to 2006. We'll just leave it at that. Those players, Allen Iverson, McGrady, and Kobe, basically that's what it is. Those guys all shot astounding amounts. 306, 268, 448, 324, 338. Hell, Kobe in 2006 took 518 3-point shots. He shot 34.7%, which, that's all fine and good and everything. And he did shoot 27 field goal attempts. But I'm just saying, in 2006, Kobe took 518 3-pointers. Allen Iverson took 223. LeBron took 379. In 2007, Kobe took 398. LeBron in 2008 took 359. Dwayne Wade in 2009 took 278. Kevin Durant in 2010 took 351. So they're shooting a lot of 3-pointers. Now, like I said, when hand checking went away, the scoring definitely went up. But still, I would say that even without the hand checking, defense was still very strong through the 2000s. I would definitely say that. But I find it fascinating, amazing, whatever you want to call it, that out of these 13 players right here, only 10 averaged 20 or more field goal attempts per game. So you take out Dantley here, you take out Dantley twice, and you take out Karl Malone in 1990. So now you're down to 10 players. Michael Jordan has 5 of them. 5 seasons of 30 points or more, 50% shooting at least 20 field goal attempts or more per game. Jordan's got half of them from 1977 to 2013. In a 37-year period, it was done 10 times, and Michael Jordan did it 5 times. So anybody who is out there with this narrative that Michael Jordan, when he was just a gunner, of course he's going to win scoring titles because he shoots the most. Well, there's other guys that shot a lot that didn't win the scoring title. And to do it 5 out of 10 times, that's incredible. That means Michael Jordan had to be a very efficient shooter. Now, granted, he didn't crank up a bunch of threes. I agree. But with hand checking, that kind of, evens the playing field a little bit. But this 1990 season right here, that right there was Jordan's best, I don't want to say offensive season because, 87, he averaged 37 points, but it was under 50% shooting. In 88, Jordan averaged 35 points a game on 53.5% shooting, but he was only 7 for 53 at the 3-point line, only at 13.2%. So that's why I hesitate on that. But in 1990, this guy averaged 33.6 points per game on 52.6% shooting, 24 shots a game, 84.8 from the free throw line, 37.6 from the 3-point line, shooting 245 attempts. That's 3 a game, basically. That is remarkable. That is maybe the most overall efficient season of the golden era of basketball. 1990, Michael Jordan. And again, he had to play, the bad boy Pistons, whatever it was, 5 times or whatever. But that was before flagrant fouls. That's what makes that even more impressive, because it was such a physical era he had to play in. They were all up in your personal space. If you went into the paint, they're, throwing an elbow, a forearm, whatever on you. So, you had to be a very efficient outside shooter, and you didn't get a lot of clean looks. You relied on, screens, your head fakes, your pump fakes, ball fakes, footwork, all those things, fadeaways. You had to rely on a lot of that stuff. And this season right here, to me, is, it's a masterpiece as far as shooting efficiency. 1990 Michael Jordan is a masterpiece because of the era he played in. Now, I'm not going to compare it to other eras. Like I said, Steph Curry in 2016 shot 50% from the field, and he shot 886 three-pointers. Now, he shot 45.4% from three. That's great. Curry, probably the best three-point shooter of all time and all that. 91% free throw shooter, maybe the best free throw shooter of all time. The thing is, though, is that during that time, you were allowed to get away with a lot more. And you got a lot of clean looks at the basket, especially nowadays, forget it. I'm not taking anything away from Curry. What he did, that was great. That's remarkable. But, how many of these threes, or just field goals in general, were tightly defended. You couldn't hand check, so you couldn't get that close to the offensive player. So, anyway, 1990... that right there, the most efficient season of anyone in the golden era, because he shot 245 three-pointers and still maintained a 52.6% overall field goal percentage on 24 shots. You know how many people even shot 24 shots on this board? Jordan in 90, Jordan in 88, George Gervin in 82 and 80. So that's it. Just 4 seasons of anybody shooting 24 shots or more. So, again, that's a masterclass of how to be an efficient shooter. Anybody thinks that Jordan wasn't a great shooter, you don't know what you're talking about. And just as like a little side note, a little, nugget of information, out of all 33 players that averaged 30 points per game or more, from 1977 to 2013, of those 33 players, the worst free throw shooters was the same player. The only guy to shoot under 75% was LeBron James. Now you want to talk about a glaring weakness? That was definitely one. He could have averaged more than that. He could have averaged 31, 32 points a game maybe. The one year in 08, he averaged 30 points on the dot. And then in 06, he was at 31.4. It could have been much higher if he could have hit his free throws a little better. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. I didn't know if you guys knew this information. I just researched this. Somebody had asked me about like the highest scores and all that thing, and I just kind of came across this. And I didn't know that that's all there is. That's the list. 13 players. That's it. 30 points per game, 50% or higher. Those two things right there. There's only 13 players in 37 years. That's it. And of those 13, 10 shot 20 field goal attempts or more, and we know who they are. And then of those 10, 5 belong to Michael Jordan. To me, that should just right there just show you everything you need to know about the efficient shooting of Michael Jordan. He was about efficient a shooter as you're going to get. Now, there might be players that can go to the hole and, get their field goal percentage up that way. I don't even need to say who it is. Being aided by the league, not calling anything. What do you expect? But when a guy only shot a third of his shots inside of 3 feet, that's it. Michael Jordan, a third of them. All the rest of them was outside of that. And I got to tell you, I didn't know this information, and it's very impressive. Like somebody said just the other day, the more you uncover about Michael Jordan, the scarier his career looks. And I have to agree. Who was a more efficient shooter than Michael Jordan in the golden era of basketball? Easily the most efficient shooter. It's not even close. Now, Adrian Dantley and George Gervin, they did have moments. Adrian Dantley's got a season of 57%, and Dantley another one of 55.9. They had some seasons here. Dantley 55.8, but he was shooting a lot of jump shots, which is fine. and he was extremely efficient. But 2 of those years, he didn't even shoot 20 field goals per game in 82 and 84. And the other one, he just barely did over 20, and that's fine. But he wasn't shooting any three-pointers. Adrian Danley is 2 for 7 one year, 1 for 3 another, and 1 for 4 in another. He wasn't shooting three-pointers. So that's why I just think 1990 is the culmination of an absolute domination. You know what I mean? And that same year, Karl Malone, in 1990, 31 points per game on 56.2% shooting, 19.8 field goal attempts per game. He actually shot 37.2% from 3, 16 for 43. That's about 1 every other game, but he did shoot them. And I'm just saying, that's actually not bad either. That's pretty damn efficient as well. Of course, Karl Malone would have had a lot more within 3 feet kind of thing. But I'm just saying, Michael Jordan's 1990 season is historic. You know, I thought his 87, his 88 seasons both were historic. I thought his 93 season was historic because he led the league in 2 stat categories and won a championship, the only player to ever do that. But 1990 is also historic. I mean, yeah, you're right. I can't remember who said that, but anyway, you were right. The more you uncover and look into Michael Jordan's career, the scarier it gets. No doubt about it. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. Appreciate all your support. And until next time.